The type of woman who gets anything and everything she wants is no smarter than you, no prettier than you, and definitely not more talented. But this woman, she is living a vastly different life. She is in a much better financial situation as you. She is in a better relationship than you. She is so much healthier and so much more fit. The difference between you and her is simply her mindset and how her mind operates. Hi, my name is Jasmine, and on this channel, we talk all about becoming the woman of your dreams and building a life that you absolutely love. This video is going to be a juicy one because we are going to be talking about the psychology of dangerously confident women who always get what they want. Girl, you need to know that life is way too short to be waiting in line, waiting to get picked, waiting to finally get chosen. You are not at the doctor's office. This is your life. So if you are ready to finally take control of your life and get what it is that you deserve and more, keep watching because this video is going to completely change the entire course of your life. Here are all the video chapters, and you can find the video chapters in the description below. And if you are somebody who is ready to do the real work, I'm not just talking about watching these videos, but actually transforming. I provide worksheets for every single one of my videos. In these worksheets, you'll find in-depth journaling prompts as well as practical exercises to help you start removing your limiting beliefs and to write out an action plan so you can start living out as your highest self today. You can access these worksheets down in the description below. Now let's dive right into the video. In this first chapter, we're going to be talking about the loop of dead-end humbleness and the trying mindset. The biggest mistake that a lot of women make is thinking that confidence is coming. We think it comes with experience, we think it comes with achievement, we think it comes from someone giving us a thumbs up, the gold star, whatever it is. They think that as long as we keep hustling, keep putting our head down, that confidence is eventually going to come and fall on our lap. But in fact, all the research shows that confidence is not coming. There is one study looking at the progression of an entry-level woman to an exec-level woman, and they wanted to evaluate, does confidence change over time? Does confidence change over experiences? And what they found was crazy, because they found that only 1 in 10 women became more confident over time. So unless you want to bet that you're going to be that 10% woman, it's a really bad bet. Because you most likely fall under the category of the 90% where even if no matter how long you wait, no matter how much you achieve, that confidence won't be coming. And it is where we can finally take matters to our own hands and determine that we can be confident right now. So I have a question for you. What does being humble mean to you? Because as women, we think that we need to be more well-received, that we need to be digestible, that we need to be likable in order for people to listen to us, and therefore be able to ask for what it is that we want. Women do not question the definition of humbleness enough, and I think we really need to look at it. Humbleness, to a lot of women, think that it's about correctly estimating yourself. Definitely not overestimating yourself, but correctly estimating yourself. And to be safe, it's better to underestimate yourself than to correctly estimate yourself. So that means that women are walking around underestimating their ability to make real change in their life to be able to deserve more. And that's because they've been taught to be humble. By underestimating yourself, it is a really safe and comfortable place because any sort of challenge that we face or any sort of moment where we go outside of our comfort zone, we think immediately that we can't handle it. We don't even give ourselves a chance to prove ourselves wrong, but we immediately jump into the conclusion that we're not enough, that we can't handle it, that we're not capable enough. The ego will try to negotiate with you, will try to rationalize with you about why it is that you shouldn't go for that big thing. And the ego's job is to try to keep you safe. That's it. But the ego doesn't know your true capabilities. The ego does not know your life outside of what has already been lived or outside of what it is that you've already done in the past. So if you are focused on what you've done in the past, how do you know if you're capable of more if you've never tried the thing that's outside of your past? What if you've never been able to give yourself the opportunity to prove yourself wrong because you've been listening to the ego way too much? The way that your subconscious mind works is exactly like wearing a pair of tinted glasses. If you're wearing a red pair of tinted glasses, no matter where you look, no matter where you turn, you are going to see red. No matter if you travel all the way to Italy, you're still going to see red. It's because it's the lens that you're seeing the world through. None of us, not you, not even me, no one has an objective view of life. And the life that we see is an accumulation of our past, our beliefs, our subconscious programs. So we are all wearing a lens of our own. We don't perceive things the way they are, we perceive things the way we are. Even with a trying mindset and a being mindset, both types of people still come across failure. But the way that these two groups interpret failure is vastly different, because someone with a trying mindset will see that failure as evidence that they're not enough. But someone with a being mindset sees that failure as a learning opportunity to become better, to become more capable, to be more skilled in their craft. They see challenges as an opportunity to up-level their life. The being mindset is also about creating intentional momentum. This means turning a snowflake into an avalanche. And how that comes about is all the small steps that you take in between that drive you to your end point. But all those small snowflakes that turn into an avalanche, those are all the choices that you make that create that momentum. And sure, you may not get to the end point in the next few days, the next few weeks, the next few months, even the next few years. But you have so much certainty within yourself and so much self-belief that you know you're gonna make it no matter what. Manifestation is a beautiful blend between certainty and action. You can't just have certainty and not back it by action. You need a combination of both. Life truly rewards those who have the greatest amount of self-belief. Not the ones that are the most talented, the prettiest, the smartest. The universe does not care about that. The universe cares the most about how much you believe in yourself. What if this whole time you have just been underestimating yourself because you've been trying to listen to what other people have been telling you about you? You need to know that people's opinion of you has nothing to do with you, because their negative opinion is only a reflection of their own limiting beliefs. It's just a reflection of what they believe they're capable of. So if someone is coming off at you saying that you'll never get this thing, you'll never be able to achieve this, it's because they believe that about themselves. The greatest haters on the internet are usually the types of people who have absolutely no achievements, nothing to back their claims, because they have a lot of limitations. They have a lot of fears in their mind. No one on this planet has the credibility nor the knowledge to determine what kind of person you are and what your self-worth is. Because as I've said, everyone is seeing life through their own lens, which isn't an objective truth. So how do you want to start seeing yourself? So stop waiting around for people to give you permission to be confident, because your self-worth starts with you. Chapter number 2 is to ask more questions while fully expecting the answer is no. This is the secret to making your own luck. Why are so many women so afraid to ask for favors and ask for what it is that they want? If you want a great job, why are we so afraid to reach out to that acquaintance and ask for a referral? If we want more money, why are we so afraid to go up to our boss and ask for that raise? Because as women, we only ask questions when we 100% expect that person to say yes. So why do we even ask questions to begin with? I want you to think of a time where you asked for something crazy and that you actually got it. Because I have a story that has completely changed the way that I see these questions. So I was in the process of applying for a job because I absolutely hated my old job. And I hated my boss because she was disrespecting me. I hated the work because it was so boring, but I was so desperate because I really wanted to leave my situation. The first courageous thing I did was, as I was looking at job opportunities, I was also asking for referrals. Keep in mind, asking for referrals at the time was really scary to me because I didn't want to come off as someone who was taking advantage of people. So I reached out to people that I knew, people that I was acquainted to, and people that I didn't know at all. Most of those people didn't even respond to me, except for this one person. And he took a look at my resume and said, "I don't think you're technical enough, but I'll still refer you." And then a week later, I received a message from the recruiter saying that they wanted to interview me. Now, I'm not done yet. So then the interviewer asked me, "What are your salary expectations?" And at the time, I was only making $68,000. Keep in mind, I was pretty desperate. And on top of that, the person who referred me said that I wasn't technical enough. But it did not matter because I squeaked 80,000 and I said it with a question mark. I remembered I said it with a question mark. And she took it, she wrote it down, and I went through the interview process. After 7 rounds of interviews and busting my ass to prepare for each and every one of those 7 interviews, I got a call from the recruiter, and I picked up the phone and she said, "We would love to congratulate you because you got the job. And I know you initially asked for $80,000, but we loved you so much that we want to take you from the associate position that you applied to, and we want to put you in a position higher than that, which means that we're going to pay you $100,000. My jaw immediately dropped, and that was the moment where everything clicked for me. And it's that if you do not ask, you will not receive. Life also rewards those who have the audacity to ask for what it is that they want. I was rewarded because I had the audacity. The first moment where I had the audacity was to ask for that referral. And the second part was when I asked for a salary that was higher than what I was comfortable with, but I asked anyways. The types of women who live a bigger life, they get what they want, it's because they're brave enough to ask the questions that would expose them to rejection. Ever since that moment, I stopped being afraid of being rejected. And in fact, I challenged myself to ask one scary question every single day, and my life has expanded so much because of it. We think just because we ask for favors or when we're negotiating for something that we want, we feel like we're being selfish. Women who have it all aren't waiting for opportunities to come to them, but they see everything as an opportunity. Every person that they talk to, everything that happens to them, they see everything as an opportunity because life is so abundant. Why can't it be you? Why can't you have that? The third chapter is to raise your standards, then raise your behavior to match it. Everyone and everyone's mom is talking about the importance of having high standards, and I believe that everyone should have high standards for their life because the standards that you set is the life that you end up living. But there's a responsibility to having high standards that people don't often talk about. When it comes to setting high standards, women typically fall under 2 camps. The first camp is entitlement. They first set high standards, and then they wait for the universe to hand that thing on a silver platter. And then they get mad at the universe when it's not there. These are the types of people who use the word should often. I should be making this money. I should be dating this person by now. I should be looking this way. But we need to fully understand that having high standards come with great responsibility because we also need to work on matching our behaviors to match that higher standard. You are a holistic creation of the woman that you want to become. And the self-concept and the actions that you take every day is the standard. If you are setting a higher standard for life, you will need to set a higher standard for yourself. So if you are calling on a healthy body, you want to lose the weight finally, then you must also hold yourself to a high standard where you say, I can only eat 2,000 calories today, or I am going to work out 4 times a week and I'm going to do that consistently. You need to hold a standard and rule in your life so that you follow it accordingly. And yes, it's going to be hard. Of course it's going to be hard. But over time, as the weeks go by, as the months go by, those pounds are going to shed off and you are going to get exactly what you want. But that also requires maintenance. So by that time, you probably have a bit less resistance around those actions, but you also need to maintain that level of health and those habits. And that's how you can keep those long-term manifestations. That's how you can then hold the capacity to keep them in your life. Just imagine how much your life can change if you stayed consistent for the next 3 years. Because every time you show up, that's going to compound over time. And that is going to create long-term luck. You do not need to show up 110% every single time. And in fact, you only need to show up 70 to 80% 3 times a week rather than going super hard 110% every single day for the next month only to burn yourself out. And to hold yourself to a higher standard means that you're going to have to sacrifice part of your life. And you're definitely going to have to sacrifice comfort. If you want to pop off on social media, you need to be consistent with making content, even if you don't have time. If you want to have incredible finances and to build wealth, you're going to have to cut out 20% of your paycheck and put it towards the stock market. In the short term, you might have to sacrifice your quality of life, but over time, in the long run, it will pay you forward and it will give you peace of mind. The thing that I want you to take away is that an easy life in the future requires harder decisions today. And if you demand more from life, you need to hold yourself to a higher standard. Chapter 4 is 10x goals doesn't mean 10x effort. So I want to tell you a story about a fly who was trapped in a classroom. The fly believes that the only way to escape the classroom is through the window. So it keeps forcing more effort, more pressure, trying again and again and again until his last dying breath. And with his last dying breath, he still tried to go one last time, and you probably know the fly died right there. But little did you know that the classroom door was open maybe a couple meters away from the fly. Now, what is this story telling us? We all have the same 24 hours in a day, but while some of us are taking proactive action and seeing real results and real outcomes in our business, in our life, but while others seem to be in this downward spiral where things are only getting progressively worse. And it's because if you want to have a different life, you need to start making different decisions. It requires the same amount of time and effort to sell a $500 software versus a $50,000 software. The difference is the person that you're selling it to. It also requires the same amount of time and effort to film a video that has 500 views versus a video that has 500,000 views. But the difference is you having the audacity to share something a little controversial or something very unique rather than regurgitating whatever other people are saying. Once every 3 months, I sit down with myself and I do a life audit. How satisfied am I in all of these life categories? And I reflect, how can I improve this? How can I improve this score so I can live a more satisfied and happy life? You need to have these conversations with yourself where you take a step back from your routine and you fully evaluate, is this the life that I want? And if not, how can I get it? If you want to 10x your goals, you do not need to 10x your effort. But the real question you need to ask yourself is, what am I avoiding? Have you been avoiding going back to the job market because your job is so comfortable but it's paying you peanuts? Are you uncomfortable with leaving a relationship that you don't like because, again, it's so comfortable? You've been with this person for 10 years and you guys have talked about getting married because you need to be on track. But you really need to sit down and be honest about the emotions that you are feeling about your life circumstances. 10x goals are simple. They may not necessarily be easy, but they're a lot less complicated than you think. Chapter 5 is power versus force, the secrets to greater flow and ease. I was walking my dog the other day and she does not like to walk in the afternoon because it's usually her nap time. So I had to drag her out the house with the leash, I had to drag her around the park, and it was just terrible because I wasn't enjoying my walk either. I had to use constant force to drag her out of the house and drag her to the route that we walk in. But the next time I walked her, I decided to bring a bag of treats. And that bag of treats got her walking so fast, she was so cooperative, and that is what power looks like. Life works the same exact way, and I want to show you the map of consciousness. When you are in a downward spiral, which means that you're at a lower vibration, so you feel emotions of guilt, shame, anger, pride, those lower vibrations cause you to think that life is hard, that God is against you, and you feel that life becomes increasingly difficult over time because you're in the energy of force. You're in the energy of limit, of scarcity. This is you forcing outcomes, hoping that things would work out in your favor, but they rarely do. But when you are at an upward spiral where you feel emotions of gratitude, joy, love, acceptance, courage, those emotions cause you to be in a greater vibrational frequency. And that is when you are the most attractive to the universe, which was the treat. When you're in a high vibrational state, you also see opportunities everywhere. You become a greater frequency for creativity, and therefore you attract better outcomes. And it doesn't require that much effort or trying because your vibration is so attractive. So what should you do to bring yourself from a lower vibrational frequency to a higher vibrational frequency? You need to start noticing the abundance that exists within your life already. You can choose to wake up and decide that the world is full of negativity and scarcity, and the whole day you're going to be trying to find more evidence of that. But if you want to experience the goodness, the beauty, the joy of life, then you need to wake up with the intention that you are going to experience abundance today and noticing the abundance that already exists in your life today. How do you show up? Are you joyful? Are you kind? Are you fun to be around? Are you maybe a little goofy? People naturally experience less resistance around a person that has such a high vibration. Anytime I feel any sort of lack, any sort of frustration, I always like to return back to this one question. How can I appreciate even more God's grace and guidance in this moment? And immediately I shift everything that I see and I start to pay attention to all the amazing, beautiful, miraculous things that have happened in my life and that I'm experiencing today. My very last chapter is this is not a game of women versus women. Dangerously confident women genuinely want other women to win. When they approach another confident woman, they're not threatened, but instead they use this as an energetic exchange to be able to become confident together. I had a female manager who called a girl a bitch before in a closed door meeting. And I found that, one, very unprofessional, and two, that's a sign of internalized misogyny. It's a stigma that women are committed to living a life fully serving other people without thinking about what it is that they want, what it is that they need. There's also this invisible rule that women can't be self-serving, and if they are, they're immediately seen as a bitch. So if you want to be a dangerously confident woman, you need to look within you and see if there are any traces of internalized misogyny. You need to pay particularly close to how you talk about other women, how you talk about other women's successes, even addressing the feelings of jealousy that come up. We as women have been told that we need to be the only one, the token CEO, the only one sitting on that seat to become a successful entrepreneur, a successful businesswoman, a successful C-suite executive, that we need to be the only one up there. We think that we need to fight against other women to get what we want. Instead of competing with other women, arguing with other women, trying to outdo other women, we are much better off stealing a piece of the pie from one of the gentlemen. Women, we need to stop seeing other successful women as a threat. And instead, we can use these women as an expander of what our potential could be. So if you see a highly successful woman who looks exactly like you, who has had a similar life story as you, use her as an example, use her as an expander of what you can achieve in your life. Ladies, we need to stop pitting against each other. There is more than enough for all of us to win. Now, we've reached the end of this video. If you would love to truly transform your life, I highly recommend checking out my worksheets down below. And if you are on the journey of becoming the woman of your dreams and building a life that you love, check out my channel because I make a ton of videos about self-worth, relationships, money, career, literally all things high-value women energy. If you want to learn more about how to set high standards and being a more assertive woman, I highly recommend that you check out this video over here. I love and appreciate you so much. Thank you so much for being here, and I hope to see you in the next video. Bye!